Okay, this is a story from about 1993 when we were living at Great Steeping and had fairly recently started the Northcote Heavy Horse Centre. Things had gone along quite well, although we were a year late starting due to opposition from local councillors and one or two problems that were thrown at us. But eventually we got going in 1989, a year late. But and of course with them it was nearly the end of the season. I think it was in July we actually opened the doors to the horse centre. It was quite, visitors were quite profuse, and we managed to pay our way, and we had local people working in the tea room and the shop. I think we employed about 3 people, part-timers. So it was going quite well in that respect until the government decided to start the national lottery. That put the kibosh on things well and truly, because people decided to spend their spare cash on the lottery tickets, and so odd visitors coming in their holidays and whatever, they weren't spending their money quite so freely. They hadn't got it, they were spending it on other things. So folks and families with spare cash weren't there anymore, and within a year we managed to knock up a £38,000 debt. We were £38,000 missing on our income because of this. People weren't coming the same. They weren't spending the money the same. I mean, it was I don't know how many hundreds of millions of pounds was taken out of the national economy almost immediately, and it still is. So we were short of money, and we had to get rid of the part-time helpers because we had no money to pay them. I mean, we had no money to pay the folks we owed money to, the vets and the feed merchant and all that lot. I mean, we had to come to a deal with them to pay them in instalments, and we'd no real guarantee, of any money coming in the future, because, where was it going to come from if the visitors had stopped spending money and weren't coming the same? Well, it was a right kerfuffle, I can tell you. And we got people like Goliath living with us. We've got 15 heavy horses. By now it had become a sanctuary for horses. The horses that were with us were horses that had to be rescued because they were poorly, or their owners had become poorly and couldn't manage them, or for one reason or another they needed to be taken in hand. Otherwise it was curtains for them. And we had 15 big horses. It was costing around about £115 to £120 a day, just the feed, just the general running of it. I mean, I never took any money out of it, and we'd by now we'd got rid of the helpers, so that was just the care of the animals. And winter was coming. Yeah, winter 1993. We were running our house on a wood-burning boiler, and it provided the cooking, and it provided hot water, and it provided heating in the house, the radiators. But we'd no money to buy any wood with. Ruth was still nursing, and so we had a bit of income from her. But the horse centre was supposed to pay its way. It was supposed to pay for the general running of the place, and it wasn't going anywhere near that. So I didn't know what to do. I was getting a bit desperate regarding everything, really. And then one day, we used to go to our local Methodist chapel in the village. This is Great Steeping. And one day, the church warden, Keith Guyler, came along, and he said, we've got a problem at the chapel you might be able to help us with. He said, we've got dry rot, and all the floors got to come up, and the joists and all the woodwork's got to be ripped out and replaced with new. And we've got to get rid of every jot of wood that's in there, so, and treat the area so that it gets rid of the rot. But we've nowhere to take the wood, he said. He said, do you think you could find a hole in the yard next to the house? Do you think the builders could possibly bring some loads of wood on their tipper lorry and tip it in your yard, and would you mind? Would I mind? I mean, I don't think Keith realised the dire straits we were in at the time. I was speechless. I said, by all means, that, is wonderful, and thank you very much. And so it happened. And the builders ripped the wood out, the floor, the joists. I mean, and they came and just dumped it in the field next to our house. It was a spare paddock. And our problems regarding heating the house and cooking our food and everything was solved. All that got left then was to pay the rest of the bills. And I think perhaps we ought to leave that till another time. So there we are. That was an angel in the guise of Keith Guyler. Saved our bacon that winter. And how do you think it happened? It didn't just happen, did it? It was meant to be. So there we are. Ever such a short little story. 6 minutes that one is. I'm going to have to find a pretty good title for it. Don't forget, if you like what we're doing, that's a story from, say, 1993 at the Northcote Horse Centre. It's about problems and dealing with them and things like that. If you like what we're doing, give us a like. Think about subscribe. That's it. There's a website address up here if you can look at all the other things we're doing, audio stories, picture storybooks, all kinds of things free to download. So there we are. More coming up soon, and thanks for being with us. Until the next time, cheerio.